Today is April 14th, Thursday, April 16th. My fuck, I said 14th. Thursday, April 16th. Hi from Nairobi, says Persian Queen. Hello, hi. It's Thursday, April 16th. 2026. I'm a little fucked up. Sorry. I've been all around the world, all around the United States of America. You already know, going from one stolen land, Quinnipiac land, stolen Quinnipiac land, stolen Algonquin land, and now finally back in the home front, on home turf, on home territory. It's stolen Tongva land. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You already know what it is. We got the soundboard back.
I'm gay and Lebanese.
Had to wear a nice shirt today because I have a very special guest coming on later. My queen, Amy Goodman. That's right. She's going to be in the building later. We're going to be talking about her new documentary that just came out, celebrating her long and storied career as an investigative reporter, a journalist, overall great person, and an icon. Someone that has been unbelievably influential in what I do. You know, I try to have a mere fraction of the impact by the time I'm done with my career. If I could have even a mere fraction of the impact that she has had over her life, I will have accomplished my mission. So don't show her the soundboard. I will be showing her the soundboard. I'm sorry. It's going to happen. All that white hair in your beard at the age of 34 is getting to you. Too much stress, I assume. No. I mean, it's normal. It happens. But also, maybe, perhaps, it's because of chatters like yourself that are deeply parasocial and try to pull on strings that don't exist that, you know, cause me to have a little bit of accelerated aging. No, I had it there at 34. Yeah, I think it's normal. Also, I don't really mind it. People say you can kind of see it on the sides and it's like coming in the middle as well, because I have a red beard. I used to have a red beard, and in my experience, I think maybe some people with like more red beards can also explain this, but like I think the parts that are red they turn gray faster, maybe. I don't know. I got a white hair in my beard when I turned 29 and I loved it, but I personally don't care. Guys, I'm a political commentator. Okay. It's time that I get a little bit, it's time that I age a little bit, you know? And the best you can hope for is age like fine wine. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know, I'm a chud ass loser. And I have nothing going on in my life. I ended the broadcast last night. I went and I hung out with some friends, went to dinner, and it was a wonderful time. Got to see my New York homies a little bit, you know, chop it up. And then I got back to my hotel, went to sleep for a couple hours, woke up early, immediately rushed to JFK, got on an airplane, took some photos with some Hasanabi heads that were on the flight. There's that. Got off the plane, came to home base, and here we are. That's pretty much it. I took a shower. I pooped. I took a shower, and I'm here. I literally don't do anything. I don't do anything at all. I just slept. I slept the entire flight. That was pretty good. Yeah, paid chatters is not a meme anymore. Yeah, I saw that. Like, that's a little bit unethical, but it's fine, I guess. I don't know. Chuck Park basically took me reading a chat comment or telling him to look into the candidate and use it as promo. Like, that's pretty crazy. Were any secret stalker photos taken on the plane? I don't know, because I was sleeping. So maybe we'll find out. Maybe there's new JetBlue Mint. Hasan Piker flies first class. Comments, but you know, yeah, I'm paid, dude. I'm freaking caked up. You already know what it is. Yeah. Okay. So, where was I? All right. Yeah. But, big day today, as always. Oh my God. That's the post I got age shamed on IG. They put a fa in Invincible. Nice. Okay. Laura Loomer was on the flight with you. Who knows? Yeah. Fox News keeps posting hit pieces about you on Facebook. Yeah, it's awesome. I think they're going to eventually. They're going to help me radicalize the proletarian vanguard of the olds, right? The olds. But we got some really good news on the flight, and I'm gonna be talking about that, obviously. The Iran War Powers Resolution obviously it failed in the House. We'll be talking about that. We're going to talk a lot about congressional ineptitude today. Seems like all this negative press is actually helping the left flank. Yeah, I think so too. I think so as well. There was a very fun Nation article that someone wrote that didn't seem to be all that like positive about me, but the article still came out cool in my opinion. But yeah, Trump versus Pope. New Abdul poll shows our boy surging. Trump wants Cuba next. Israel, Lebanon, ceasefire, question mark. 7 Senate Dems vote to continue sending bombs to Israel. War powers fails. Situation monitored. EF Day 48. Amy Goodman in the building. Get in now. You don't want to miss this. It's going to be good. I obviously, you guys know this already. I'm a big fan of Amy Goodman, and I'm actually very excited to share that experience with all of you and like go through her work and get to talk to her about, you know, her journey, her life story, how she became who she is. And I'll talk about, you know, how important she is to me. Are you going to play Peak Modulator today? Yeah, with Amy Goodman. I don't even know what that is, but yeah, I'm going to have Amy Goodman of Democracy Now! Play Peak Moda. What time will Amy be on? Your camera angle on the road has become better than this one where you look like a floating head. Lamau, lower the camera and zoom out a little bit. Yeah, the problem with this camera angle is that this desk setup is different. I mean, we can go back to this one, which is not great either, right? We can do this. But again, the camera angle on this is, first one makes your head look giant. Good, that's why I'm doing it. Amy Goodman is the one with the chimpanzees? No, dude, that's Jane Goodall. I mean, I kind of understand why you would think that. No, that's Jane Goodall. She passed away recently. And no, Amy Goodman is Democracy Now! Jesus Christ. I like the old style better. We can see the fried chicken bake in the back. This is a more professional setup. That's why I like this angle. That's why I'm going to continue this angle. Yeah, it's funny. You saw like an old white lady and you were like, damn.
The left.
Fox News has another clip compy on me. This time it's my queen, Laura Ingraham. We'll obviously be taking a look at that as well. Fox News put the crosshairs on me again. You know, another day, baby. Another day, another hit piece. The hits keep coming. And I personally like it. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. Maybe I personally think that this is not bad, but good. You know, the line of demarcation being drawn. People openly coming out and contesting this worldview, trying to disparage it aggressively. I feel like having this battle, having this conversation on the boundaries of a Twitch streamer is a good thing because a Twitch streamer has a lot more liberties as opposed to a politician. A politician is limited in the response that a politician can give. I am not. I talk for 8 hours a day. Therefore, I can talk and talk and talk. My Fox News brainwashed MAGA father probably hates your guts. Hard to get through to that guy. What is this? Hasan Piker is a heterosexual paid partnership? Yeah, I saw this. Yuck. I don't know. Is this a Benny Johnson meme or something? Like someone posted Benny Johnson as a heterosexual and it was a paid partnership? Is that why? Has this kind of counterfactual opposition tactic ever truly worked to move the dial? This kind of stuff, these kinds of conversations taking place is good because it moves the Overton window in our direction. Okay. I don't think I'm coping when I say this. I mean it. I sincerely believe it. I think these kinds of conversations happening in mainstream media, especially if there is like a back and forth, rather than slapping on, rather than just like slapping it on to Bernie Sanders and then having him in the midst of like an election campaign turn around and be like, oh no, I don't like Cuba or whatever, right? Like that is unproductive. You don't get to the meat of the story. You don't get to explain your position at all. You're forced to take a quick and easily digestible stance. There are some who excel in that field. Zoran Mamdani obviously is very good at finding like liberal adjacent responses that are very fast, that get to the heart of the issue, and that plays a big role in entering collective consciousness, getting people to really think deeper about these issues. I sometimes have the ability to do that as well. Like I joke about it, but like the whole, I'm a lesser evil voter. As a harm reduction voter, I would vote for Hamas over Israel. Like that really pisses off conservatives, but they don't really have a decent message against that other than just going, oh, you're a terrorist, right? So, that's a really good, that is a really good conversation to have, right? And politicians can't do that. They don't have the bandwidth to do that. They don't have the time frame to do that. Yes, I heard the Northern Line cruise got canceled, dude. Please, I know, I got it. Okay, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Okay, I'm trying to get a word in edgewise over here, and you're like, you have to. You're like one of the reporters on the press pool with the Pope. Okay, it's just like, hey, did you hear Trump said this? Trump said this about you. Trump's talking mad shit about you. Pope. Question about Trump. Are you guys doing drama? Like, okay, I heard the fucking Northern Line cruise got canceled. I'm devastated. I'm sorry. I was going to go. I was one of the secret guests, actually. Okay, so I knew about it already. Far left streamer Hasan Piker continues sympathizing with America's enemies, this time seeming to mourn the loss of the Soviet Union at Yale University debate. When I studied Russian, one of my teachers lived under Joseph Stalin. Every time the phrase Soviet Union was said in class, he would always say, thank God it no longer exists. Someone should explain to him that the Beatles back in the USSR was a parody. I'm not defending this guy at all, but in some aspects, his statement holds some water. The whole region fell apart. No one knew who had control over the nuclear weapons-grade uranium and plutonium and all the other conventional weaponry, and it took quite some time for all those new countries to get their feet underneath them. But I do not lament the dissolution of the Soviet Union. See, even, dude, if a MAGA boomer on Facebook comments, a MAGA boomer that is like responding to Facebook comments on the Fox News Facebook page, like is capable of comprehending the nuance of that statement, that's good. That's a productive conversation that's taken place. Okay? It's such a radical take, it triggers reflection. Yeah, it's also not exactly an indefensible point of view, right? Almost like the hate tweet. Yeah, The Nation wrote this article, and it was kind of fire. But I don't think it was like very positive on me, but I still liked it. We'll read that as well. But yeah, from my perspective, having these sorts of issues, like I'm willing to tank this stuff, right? I can tank the damage, because if these sorts of questions are brought up in front of congresspersons without broad awareness shifts taking place, they have to be very fast on their feet, and they have to address things in a very black or white manner. And it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for them to address complex geopolitical points of view, or they have to keep account of where the public is, right? Nowadays, you can say whatever the fuck you want about Israel for the most part, right? Because like the public's on your side. They can call you an anti-Semite, terrorist, whatever. It doesn't matter. But that didn't used to be the case. And even if politicians who had, similar points of view, for example, to people like ourselves, they didn't have the same bandwidth. They didn't have the same allowance to be able to openly say this kind of stuff, right? Even I myself could not be as forthcoming about the full scope of my opinion, because you just have to you have to go through the motions. You have to abide by like what is the most permissible thing you can say, right? Yeah, Norm Finkelstein got ultra canceled for his honesty. Yeah, that's why I will always respect people who are bold and will stand on their principles and say the truth no matter how unfavorable it may seem at the moment and at the time, right? You've said this in the past when your biggest streaming regrets was saying you're a socialist. Do you still feel that way? I don't really give a shit anymore. We're almost a decade in at this point, you know? What are you going to do? It is what it is, all right? Jesse Waters and Laura Ingraham obsessed with you. Red Scare propaganda bothers me most because it's an excuse to blur the line between socialism and communism. Yeah, I mean, it's just, there is a tide shift, okay? There's a tide shift that's taking place. And we're in it. One day, certain statements that are used to disparage you will be seen as a marker of your bravery and your honesty. Will be seen as a marker of your consistency, right? For the longest time, even saying that you were a socialist was immediately grounds for antagonism. People would hear that and go, "Oh, I can't take this guy seriously at all. This is dangerous. This is danger, danger, danger," right? Bernie Sanders ate it for many, many years, but he ran as a disruptor, the unique candidate in 2016, and said he was a democratic socialist. And now we're living in the aftermath of that brave decision. Sometimes you meet the moment, sometimes you're there, but I don't know. I have a more stoic approach to this sort of stuff. I don't cry over spilt milk. Listen to this clown. Hasan Piker roots for America's demise. Stoic Lamau, you're trash. Thanks, chatter. All right. Yeah, we'll start off here and then we'll look at some of the Fox News hits and then we'll talk about how those hits haven't actually worked because we now have evidence. New Emerson poll came out in the state of Michigan and it's got some really good, really juicy tidbits in it. Really good stuff. Not to spoil it ahead of time, but here, we'll start off with this. We'll start off with this Nation piece, okay? With the monk fit? What do you mean? Inside Yale's Hasan Piker spectacle. The Twitch streamer's invitation to debate at the Yale Political Union drew the ire of Laura Loomer, Rick Scott, and Turning Point USA. This was written by Zachary Clifton, who I guess is a Yale student. It had been 6 months, almost to the day, since Florida Senator Rick Scott gave a speech at Yale Political Union when, on April 14th, the oldest collegiate debate society in the United States heard from Hasan Piker. Piker is a left-wing online streamer who said in a March 2025 live stream, if you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott, the former CEO of a healthcare company who had overseen $1.7 billion of settlement for Medicare and Medicaid fraud. This was apparently the relevant criteria for what Piker would later call maximum punishment. For the first couple of days, even from that point, I'm like, oh, maybe. I mean, he's a really good writer, so even if he's a hater, I'll give him credit, you know? For the first couple of days after the Yale Political Union announced the event, it seemed as though it might pass without any serious backlash. Then Laura Loomer got a hold of the event's advertisement. Loomer complained that parents were paying nearly $100,000 a year to send their children to a communist indoctrination camp, where they were being taught to destroy America by a Muslim communist streamer who was, she noted, captured on video saying America deserved 9/11. Senator Rick Scott saw Loomer's post and reshared it. This is wild, he wrote. I spoke at Yale Political Union last year. Now they're hosting a guy who said I should be killed. At least he gave a little bit of the context. Sure. So one of the things that I find fascinating, hold on, I gotta do the paywall thing, the paywall remover real quick. But one of the things I find, well, not even fascinating necessarily, but like one of the things I find very annoying is the Republican retort to any sort of nuanced conversation on ideas that they are antagonistic to immediately resorts to, oh, you're a danger. You're a danger. I don't want to hear what you have to say at all. I'm not even remotely intellectually curious. You're a bad guy. You're a terrorist. Right? And I feel like political discourse perhaps always was like this. And on our side, we certainly have our fair share of this as well. As a matter of fact, many people in this community will actively demand I tar and feather anyone that is remotely to my right. And I still try to maintain like a more decent, more open-minded posture that factors people's social conditioning and their background into their decision-making, into their ideology, and try to be as charitable as possible. However, like for a lot of these people that talk about debate, for almost every single person that says like, they love debating, for all the debate purgatory out there and all the celebration of meeting interlocutors in the marketplace of ideas, none of it is about the actual ideas. Like almost none of it at all is about the ideas. And that's a very frustrating concept, right? And I kind of hate that. I don't know why. It's like, we can have a conversation about, like, we should be able to have a conversation about why certain ideas are bad and why certain ideas are good, instead of trying to utilize the language being used and weaponize that against your opposition, against your ideological opponents. And we do it, and they certainly do it as well on the right. And it's very frustrating because it automatically destroys any sort of productive conversation. And I guess it's partially because debates are fucking boring. Debates are boring. Drama is exciting. Lol, you just gave it away now. Haters will do it more. I mean, okay. That's an unchanging fact about my career, at least, right? So that's, I think Iran cast you in their latest Lego music video. That's a lie. They did not do that. You're lying to me. I've seen this one already. I was not a part of this. How dare you? Like, if we're going to have a real conversation, it shouldn't be around like what you want to shove down my throat or what you want to warn others about, right? Like, let's have a conversation. One of the best examples of this is about the USSR take. Like, it's pretty obvious what I'm saying. Or even another one. The other highlighted moment was like when I was talking about, if a dictatorship is inevitable, as you say, rather have it be a proletarian dictatorship rather than a bourgeois one. That has been roundly condemned, criticized by people. They're like, oh, the language that he's using is scary. He said dictatorship, right? Like, they're not listening to the words that I'm using. Like, that's a response. That's a response to someone else. That's a retort. If you rob it of its context, then it makes no sense. Anyway, just something that I've been increasingly more frustrated by. I expect it from the right, obviously, the likes of Rick Scott and Laura Loomer. They're going to be disingenuous. They're going to cry. It's bad faith. But I get very frustrated when liberals do it as well. When they do the most bad faith interpretation, robbing the clip of its nuance, the statement of its nuance, the context. If it's a retort, they just act as though I just said that, In any case, this is wild, Rick Scott wrote. I spoke at the Yale Political Union last year, and now they're hosting a guy who said I should be killed. Scott called for action. Yale receives billions of federal government funding, he declared. President Trump and Congress need to immediately revoke it. Scott's words seem to imply that he wanted federal input on the Yale Political Union's debate docket. But the group makes those decisions independently of the university, and it does not appear that anyone defrauded by Scott's company was given any say about Yale Political Union's decision to host Scott last October. Yeah, Scott's victims that were defrauded in his Medicare fraud scheme should have had a say on whether or not he was allowed to participate in the Yale Debate Union, right? This spectacle, the announcement, the backlash, Scott's rallying cry finally made its way back to Yale when reporters at the Yale Daily News reached the president of the new Turning Point USA chapter on campus who called Piker's language anti-American and added, more pointedly, that it was antithetical to Yale's mission to promote free speech. Before the YDN had received those comments about what was American and what wasn't, who could have free speech and who couldn't, the discussion about the debate had been about Piker's past words, about Scott, about 9/11, about anti-Semitism. But the Turning Point USA chapter president had come along and added free speech to the spectacle. Then Piker weighed in. On Monday, from his stream, Piker scrolled through the Yale Daily News article previewing his visit to Yale. until he reached the relevant quotes at the bottom. He read the words about free speech and anti-Americanism and said, Charlie Kirk clearly had enough respect for me. He wanted to debate me at Dartmouth, continuing, so I don't know what the fuck this guy's chirping about. On Tuesday, Piker began his 7-hour stream from a hotel room with distracting wallpaper in New Haven, Connecticut. It's true, the wallpaper was ass. He talked for more than 4 hours about the news of the day. Then around 6:45, he left and got into a car heading for the Sheffield Sterling Strathcona Hall. 400 students sat around me, eyeing the hall's exit door and back room entrance, longing for a glimpse of Piker's arrival. The crowd thought they had spotted him entering a few times and clapped for rank-and-file Yale political union members whom they mistook for Piker. Piker finally walked in about 20 minutes later after leaving his hotel room stream and was, according to a post by Stop Anti-Semitism, orgasmically welcomed by the audience. Piker on Wednesday reshared Stop Anti-Semitism's characterization of the crowd, asking, "Did you bust?" A question that was viewed almost 400,000 times. Piker's team, who had arrived before him, started a new stream that was being watched by 15,000 viewers. I don't know where they got this from, because that's not what happened. We were just streaming contiguously, and it had 33,000 viewers. Excuse me. The numbers are wrong. And would go on to be viewed more than 600,000 times. He passed, doors open. He passed through one of the aisles and climbed to the stairs of the stage, finally settling in a chair between the Yale Political Union's president and its speaker. While he was being introduced, several onlookers noticed that Piker tucked the Zinn behind his lip, uncapped a dark, shiny pen, and made notes in the margins of his prepared remarks. For a moment, he hadn't yet looked up at the crowd. Then he did. I'm sad to see Senator Rick Scott did not make it. The stomping was almost immediate, as the applause had been when Piker entered the room and when he had been introduced. At the Yale Political Union, approval is stomping and disapproval is hissing. And on this night, there was a raucous, near constant demonstration of both, sometimes before the end of a sentence, sometimes before the sentence had begun. What Piker had come to argue was not exactly the resolution as it had been advertised to the people in the room and the streamers at home. End the American empire. Piker instead argued something adjacent. He argued that the United States is already in terminable decline. He asked, how do you end something that's already in the process of dying? He quoted Lenin. He quoted Mao. He said Benjamin Netanyahu was the real American president. He said the U.S. maintained roughly 800 military bases abroad, each representing not just a presence, but a possible place where it might stage invasions. Then he called the fall of the Soviet Union one of the greatest catastrophes of the 20th century, and the hissing was deafening. His comment about the USSR had gone viral by the next morning. According to X's own count, there were more than 59,000 posts about the speech. The people who had most loudly used free speech to explain the importance of tolerating campus speakers seem to have set that aside. Yale is poison, more than one post said. Yale is disgusting. Hello? Hello? Hi? Hello? Oh my God. Little ladies here. Little ladies here. Hi. Hi. You smell so good. Hi. Okay. Hi. Come here. Hi. Did you go out? Or no? Oh, she hasn't been out yet? Okay. Goofy. Anyway, stop hitting her. I will never. Here. Kai Cam is not exactly getting her, but it's fine. She don't fuck with you anymore with all that traveling. She gets so sad when I'm leaving. Like, she gets like depressed. It's kind of funny. I don't know why. Anyway, Yale is poison, more than one post said. Yale is disgusting, another post said. Yale students have been indoctrinated, more than a few posts said, and many more implied. A great many of the posts, for reasons that remain unclear, mentioned tuition. It seemed these people could not believe the students whose parents had spent so much money on their education would choose to attend a political debate at the Yale Political Union. When Piker's speech ended, 5 students split speeches between the affirmative and the negative. The first in the negative, Kaishan Kwekrup, spoke deliberately, taking the resolution at face value. He glazes him a little bit. That's why I said he wasn't like fond of my speech, because he was saying like I sidestepped the actual resolution. I didn't respect the actual resolution, and I cheated. Whereas the person who replied to me did. Power does not disappear. It is assumed by others. The hissing and stomping still came for Kwekrup, but later than they had come for Piker, and at the ends of sentences rather than the middle of them. When it came time for Piker to conclude, his earlier sympathy for the USSR had become a little sullied, maybe by how long the debate was dragging on for, or maybe by how warm and stuffy the room was getting. Capitalism, he said, had built things worth keeping: skyscrapers, infrastructure, the internet. But those things had been built by labor, and the fruits of that labor had not been evenly distributed. He ended with a line that brought raucous applause. If a dictatorship is inevitable, I'd rather have it be a dictatorship of the proletariat. The room did not clear immediately. Students stood in the aisles attempting to rush the stage for photographs. The Yale this is also, he cleaned this up a little bit too, so that's why I was saying he's a good writer. Because a bad writer, or not a bad writer, but like a writer that was trying to seem contentious here would have just chopped it up. The room did not clear immediately. Students stood in the aisles attempting to rush the stage for photographs. The Yale Political Union's president, a member of the Party of the Right, told me he was pleased with how the night had gone. In recent weeks, he said, the union had hosted figures from across the political spectrum, including Kevin Roberts, one of the architects of Project 2025. We have people on the right and people on the left, he said, and they stayed until the end, and they asked questions, and they were respectful. By then, the members who had already voted 54 to 31 in favor of the resolution. For 53 students at Yale and Hasan Piker, who also got to vote, the American empire was something to be brought to an end. The event had drawn to a close. Piker had left the Gothic Revival Hall. The federal government had not cut Yale's funding. The people who had used free speech to argue that a private institution should not allow a speaker to speak had not mobilized soon enough. But everything that had made the spectacle matter remained intact, and certainly did not conclude with the vote. Zachary Clifton is a writer, student at Yale University. He's written for Salon, Oxford American, Yale Daily News, National Civic League, and more. So, it's a good piece. It's more so talking about all of the spectacle surrounding the event rather than, the meat of it. But dictatorship of the proletariat has some oxymoron in it. No, man, it doesn't. It literally is the same as tyranny of minority versus tyranny of majority. It's the same principle. Mob rule is democracy. Okay. In America, we think representative democracy is mob rule. We call it tyranny of the majority. Well, guess what? Saying tyranny of the majority actually hides the inverse of that, which is the case currently, which is the tyranny of minority. Okay. The positive way to respond to that, the positive way to describe that is just the democratic process, having true representative democracy, giving power back to the people rather than keeping it in the hands of the select few that have no interest in the people. Okay. Zoran did an infinitely better job, a more liberalized version of that as well. And we can talk about that in a second. But just wanted to do this real quick. Zoran hit the CBS airwaves, and he said something not dissimilar, but one that is infinitely more palatable for regular liberals, right? Let's hear what he has to say.
What I find is that New Yorkers ask me less about how I describe my politics and more about whether my politics includes them. And I think what we can see is that a democratic socialist politics is one that should be judged on its delivery, like any ideology. And what we're showing in this city is we can pursue the big things like universal child care and do the pothole politics at the same time that we're showing, and not just filling in the potholes, changing the catch basins, but also repaving over 1,000 miles of roadway.
But Mr. Mayor, presidential and statewide elections are often decided in battleground regions that do not look like New York City.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. Before I was the mayor, I was an assembly member of Astoria in Long Island City. At that time, I was told that you could only be a democratic socialist in Northwest Queens. Then I became the mayor. Now the next question is the state. Then the next question will be the country. I think that this is a politics that can flourish anywhere because, frankly, there is only one majority in this country. That's the working class.
Fuck, that's so good. There's only one majority in this country, and that's the working class. Is bars, okay? Bars. Fantastic. Fan-fucking-tastic. So good, so effective, so easy to understand. Okay? Incredible delivery. Now, of course, this delivery would be less consequential if he also wasn't a very popular figure of government, right? If he was an unpopular mayor, people would go, oh, all you do is yap, right? If he wasn't actually delivering on the sewer socialism, if he wasn't actually filling the potholes, if he wasn't actually desperately, and dare I say successfully, changing the city and the trajectory of the city in a positive way, right? Then his words would ring hollow. You got to have both. And Zoran to his credit, has both. And it's fantastic. That's why, while everybody glazes him super hard, sometimes I might have criticisms of him, the way he carries himself, the way he conducts himself every now and then, I think is like maybe too conciliatory to reactionary forces when he has a lot more room to be bold, right? Especially given his unbelievable popularity, especially given the success of his governance in such a short period of time. He has a lot more bandwidth to promote other candidates, to say, like, this is our movement, this is who we are, here are some of the people that are associated with it, right? Because that's, a big part of it. He's supposed to be a movement guy, right? But ultimately, you can't criticize the guy too much. I mean, he's cooking. He's doing a great job.
And it's time we have a politics that puts them at the heart of what it is that we're pursuing and not as part of the appendix.
I cannot believe what you did to Mélenchon. Wait, what did I do? Oh, is it because he's like streaming on Twitch or something? Is that because of me? Did I do that? I don't think I did that. Melengoat. Yeah. And of course, his policies, Zoran's policies are very popular nationwide. And there's a different type of Zoran out there for every city, each according to their needs, right? That's where we're at. But before we talk further about Zoran's tax policy and the hubbub surrounding it and the anger surrounding Zoran's actually pretty solid tax policy, Fox News has decided to put me in the crosshairs once again, as I talked about earlier. They're doing like multiple daily hits at this point, which I personally appreciate. I like it. I'm excited for it every time, because while that might not get all the MAGA boomers to listen to what I have to say, they might be fearful of who I am and what I'm saying and what I'm doing. There are definitely boomers on the other side that have a negative opinion of Fox News and have a negative opinion of right-wing politics, Trump, who hate Trump just as much as I do, who will hear some of these words coming from the mouth of a Fox News host and go, I kind of like what this guy has to say. There's a negative polarization that takes place in these moments, and therefore I welcome this stuff, right? Now, if I was a different person, if this was a different time, if, for example, I did not have the opportunity to reach my own audience organically, and that, I was limited to whatever mainstream media was saying about me and I had no way to retort, obviously this would be devastating. If the large majority of people only encounter what you have to say through a negative filter, they're going to develop a negative attitude. But that's not the case any longer. A lot of people have access to the internet. A lot of people are actually interested in getting or incorporating independent outlets into their media diet, even old people. And therefore, when this kind of stuff happens, people don't just watch it and go, well, I'm horrified. I'm not going to look into this person, right? They do the opposite. Plenty of people do the opposite.
Listen to this clown.
Empires never die quietly, and we must end the American empire regardless. But we must manage the retreat of a superpower from the world stage. This is a challenge for our time. Actually, this is the challenge for our time.
Why is it so
Because if
low?
we do not do this, then the American empire will come to an end in a much more violent way.
The part that he doesn't mention is that he's rooting for the destruction of the country. The ideas that they're introducing now, this new socialist movement, and they get a lot of support. Zoran Mandani, who's only been an American for about 7 years, became a citizen, and he got elected on these platforms that totally disagree with our value system. They don't want law and
Anti-American streamer warns American empire will end. Yeah.
order, right? They believe that if you work hard in this country, you get a good job, and you get a little bit of wealth, that the government should be able to strip that away and give it to someone else. They don't believe in national defense. They believe we should just allow the enemy in and deal with the consequences there. That will destroy this country, and they're rooting for it to take place because they believe that at our core, we're a racist country.
Yeah.
And you can't have those people running.
They love communism. They're glad that 9/11 happened.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Awesome, dude. And what's even better? Wait, there's more? Oh, this is the Laura Ingraham. Hasan Piker is hinting at civil war. That's back to back, baby. That's crazy. Yeah, and it's pretty funny that Brian Kilmeade sitting there in the corner going,
I'm Brian Kilmeade. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
It's funny. I like that. Thank you, Brian. Love how little of a clip they play before they mischaracterize their statements. I mean, that's expected. That's expected. No matter what happens. I need you to understand something, okay? They're not offended at what I'm saying. They're offended at the entire worldview that I represent. So from that perspective, they're going to do everything they can. They're going to do everything they can to disparage the messenger. They're going to bastardize the messenger. They're going to chop it up. Okay? What is this? They want you on the Sean Hannity podcast? Fox and Friends? I want to see him in a debate. I told Sean, invite him on your podcast. I don't even know if he lived through 9/11. I want someone who's brilliant, who can say that to him that will happen. Oh, there was more. There was more.
You didn't hear it in that soundbite, but he got applause at Yale for his literally, he's
that's
over the pole of America.
I just wanna know-
Invited number one and number two, he says it and gets applause.
I want to see him in a debate. I told Sean, I said, invite him on your podcast because I want a long format. I want him to understand what he is.
I would love that. Oh my God, I would love that. Oh hell yes. Oh my God. Okay. Oh yeah. They're gonna be like,
do not come.
And I'm gonna be like,
I'm gonna come.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it's gonna be like. I'm just saying,
I'm gonna come.
reach out immediately before they forget. Yes. Did you see the highlight reel from Fox? No, not yet. We're gonna look at that in a second. I didn't even know that there was more additional commentary on this.
I don't think he's lived through communism. He hasn't lived through. I don't even know if he lived through 9/11. How old is he? He looks young.
Yeah, he's right.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God, the glaze. Oh my God. Fox News, I'm blushing. Oh my Lord. They said, I got gray beard hairs. And I got this is the oldest I can possibly look, right? Because like there's different variants. If I shave all of it off, including the mustache, I look like a child. It's horrible. Everyone makes fun of me. If I shave the beard off, or if it's at least like a little scruffy, I de-age by like a decade. So it's pretty funny that she thinks that I'm not 34 years old. Bro, she literally said you look younger than 25. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. That's wild that she thought I was younger than 25. That's wild. Damn, I don't even use any like facial creams or nothing. I don't got no. I'm so happy to live in this time. Yeah.
I just want him to understand the consequences for what he's saying and what would happen if America did fall. Where would he go if America fell?
But the thing is, Ainsley, people like that are uncoachable.
I want to know. I want to know why he believes this.
Oh, Brian's like, no. Sean should not debate him.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Oh no! Wait, hold up, Brian. No, Sean will destroy me. He will destroy me in the marketplace of ideas. Let me do it.
Huh?
I want to know why he believes this, and I want someone who understands these issues, who is brilliant, who can say to him, what you're saying, this is what.
Who's brilliant. And then the person that she's using as a brilliant orator is Sean Hannity.
What will happen if America falls? This is what will happen if America becomes a communist country.
All right.
Oh my God, I'm licking my lips, dude. Oh my God. I give Sean Hannity a kissy poo. Yeah, Sean Hannity, known brilliant person. Oh my Lord. All right, then there's more that we got. You shouldn't debate him. Such a bad idea. He'll make you look so bad and destroy your position. Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm scared. I'm so scared about that. I would hate that. I would hate for that to happen. I would never do that. I'm terrified. Okay. I want to know. Okay. Oh, this is Sean Hannity's fiance. I would hate to get destroyed in the marketplace of ideas by the likes of Sean Hannity. I love that she is glazing her fiance, which is cute. That's cute. You know, they will 100% edit their video to make you look bad. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to film it myself as well. There's no way that that's going to be. I would hate to get destroyed in the marketplace of ideas by the likes of Sean Hannity. Oh, yeah, the one where Trump leaked their relationship. Yeah, that's the one. If you get invited, you'd be forced to do it. You'd hate that, but you'd do it. Yeah, I would hate it. I added him, chat. I did. I already did. Fox and Friends first covered you too. What the fuck is going
Shift
on,
gears
man?
now to
What the fuck? What is happening, bro? Why? Why is there so much? What? I don't understand it. It's like, I know liberals think it's because like my ideas are terrifying because they think it's bad and terrifying. So like liberals think like, oh, they're glazing or they're highlighting Hasan because they want to like use Hasan as a cudgel, except like it hasn't worked, right? It hasn't really worked. And I think part of it is because these guys have a much more conservative estimate on like where America's anger and resentment is right now. Like they think independents are resentful of America because like, I guess Trump is not conservative enough or something. Like, no, they're resentful and angry for the same reasons that I'm resentful and angry. Like you can try to disparage me all day, every day and be like, no, he just like hates America. If I hated America, I'd be excited at what Donald Trump is doing, right? Like I'd be so elated at the prospect. I'd be like, wow, look at Donald Trump punishing the heartland. Look at Donald Trump robbing the poor blind, robbing his own supporters in the Rust Belt, robbing his own supporters in places like West Virginia, ensuring that they don't get a leg up, ensuring that their infrastructure is never fixed, and wasting away all of that productive output, all of those resources on Israel, you know? Fantastic. And doing it in this incredibly shitty way where he's also failing on the main stage, right? Like he's crippling the force projection capabilities of American empire. He's almost single-handedly destroying the petrodollar, right? So great. You know, if I hated America, I'd be a Trump supporter. I'd be dick riding Trump into oblivion. I think a lot of people have that anger and resentment. And since Donald Trump actually won the election and has been governing like a madman for the last 2 years, many Americans have realized, even those who voted for him, some, right, especially the independents and the swing voters and whatnot that voted for him, have now recognized that, oh no, it wasn't actually the trans people or the immigrants that we were dominating that was causing all of this, all of these issues, right? Perhaps there's an alternative out there. And the Democrats don't actually fill that void. The Democrats are refusing to communicate where this frustration is coming from, right? They're refusing to explain correctly why Americans are feeling the pain, perhaps even a worsened version of the pain that they felt even under Biden, you know? Hasan, instead of spending a whole time defending shit you said, you should bring up some Sean Hannity controversy and grill him on it. I mean, yeah, there will be a little bit of that too in this situation like that. Hold on, I gotta pee.
Far-left Twitch streamer Hasan Piker, who made some controversial comments while speaking at Yale University. Listen here, and then we'll get your reaction on the other side.
Okay. It's an interesting resolution. End the U.S. empire. It's interesting because how do you end something that's already in the process of dying? Because that's the situation with the American empire as it stands today.
So, as you heard, he makes it seem like America's downfall is inevitable. It's going to happen, and that it's on my generation to figure it out and sort of mitigate the damage. Your reaction to what he said there?
Well, Nate, not only what Hasan Piker just said there, but I think I heard cheers from that audience at Yale. So scratch off another school that my daughter and son aren't going to go to. That's certainly for sure. It'll be a real hoot seeing Hasan Piker be the keynote speaker at the Democratic National Convention one day, won't it? Because more and more Democrats are lining up to be on this Maniacs podcast. Ilhan Omar was just on there this week. Ro Khanna last week. AOC, Zohra Mandani, even the New York Times, Ezra Klein, just recently gave him the written version of what you could call, I guess, a hot stone massage in a piece titled, let's see, Hasan Piker is not the enemy. Oh, I'm pretty sure he's the enemy, considering that this is the same guy who was
Again, an enemy to what? An enemy to you? Absolutely. An enemy to the people? I don't think so. I think people are smarter than we give them credit. I think Americans are smarter than we give them credit. Okay? As long as someone is just telling the truth eventually more and more Americans will hear that over and over again, and they'll start recognizing that there is an alternative vision out there. There is an alternative trajectory that we could be on, one that actually doesn't destroy this country, okay? One that maybe even manages the decline that we're experiencing currently. Because we are experiencing a decline. Things are not working. Donald Trump was able to identify that pain, was able to identify that resentment, and then he channeled it to unproductive outlets, vulnerable populations. He took that anger that people were feeling at a time when the liberal side was seemingly communicating that there was nothing to be angry at all, that the system was fine, that we were just going to do business as usual politics, right? Put me in front of people, coach. I think the more they see it in an unfiltered manner, the more they hear this message in an unfiltered manner, the more they will recognize that while some of these concepts might come across as foreign, right, at first, to the uninitiated, or to those who have been taught to hate these sorts of concepts, right, who have this unnecessary antagonism towards the word socialism, the word communism. They don't even think about it. They're like, this is an enemy thing. This is an enemy thing. It's fine. Those labels are unnecessary at the end of the day. I just want you to have healthcare. I want you to have a better future. I want you to have education. I want I want this country, the wealthiest country on the planet, to do better for all of its citizens and not just work at the behest of these lifeless, faceless, parasitic corporations that have loyalty to no one but generating profits. Okay?
For the violent fall of this country, and just did again recently. The same guy who said America deserved 9/11, the same guy who calls Jews inbreds, that's a quote, and the same guy who quotes Hamas and supports them 1,000 times more than Israel. So if Democrats want to make Hasan Piker its next team mascot in an effort,
like if they just kept it at like, oh, he calls Jews inbreds, like I think more people would probably be like, wow, that's fucked up. Why did he say that? But when they actually end up associating like a bunch of anti-Israel comments right at the end of that, not to give them, tips on how to do better fuck us on propaganda, but like when they do that, people understand that it's not, oh shit, never mind, this is probably not about Jews at all. It's probably about Israel in general, right?
To capture more anti-American, anti-Semitic voters. Roll the dice and take your chances, guys. But this is not somebody they should want to be aligned with, yet they keep lining up to be on this podcast. Go figure.
Yeah, and he just called Republicans.
It's just funny because, like, this literally failed with Trump. Like, I'm not obviously running for office, right? But this is unironically what the liberals try to do with Donald Trump, where they were like, oh, he says so many offensive things. He says so many terrifying things, right? And people didn't give a shit because they understood what he was talking about. He called the Republicans what? Terrorists.
The biggest domestic terrorists in the country on the Pod Save America podcast. And it should be emphasized with an underline that he was at Yale University speaking to young people who, as you said, did cheer when he said, how do you end something that is already in the process of dying, referring to the United States of America. Those are just the facts there. Joe, we do have to leave it. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe.
Peter Savodnik on the Free Press, the freest of all press, wrote an article saying, my latest on the Democrats' Hasan Piker problem, where Ezra Klein doesn't get it, and what has to happen next if the party wants to avoid 25 years in the wilderness. Okay? Yeah. When I want to hear about what liberals should do, what the Democratic Party should do, I go to the Free Press, which is a publication that basically operates as a propaganda mouthpiece for a foreign state, Israel, and is also the most pro-Trump outlet out there. What is this?
I am shivering right now, having just watched that footage of Hasan Piker saying that our country deserved 9/11.
I'm shivering right now. Okay, well, we don't have to watch Newsmax. Come on. Anyway, there is also Elon Levy, former spokesman for the state of Israel. Elon Levy. It's tragic to see the monumental self-sabotage of the Senate Democrats have performed because of Hasan Pikerization of their party. This is something that I never thought I would see. Because this is Hasan derangement syndrome. This is a telltale marker of Hasan derangement syndrome. The idea that Chris Van Hollen and Democratic Party senators are actually moving in this way against Israel for the first time ever in a very meaningful way, by the way. 40 votes is nothing to cast aside. It is an implication. It is basically the clearest example. You might say it's too little too late, and I agree with that, but it's the clearest example that this is now going to be a partisan issue, right? It's over. Like, Israel is losing the Hill. Israel had complete dominance in the Hill. Israel has to now move to just the White House and just the Donald Trump. That's the last bastion that they have of Israel defense. When they lose the uniparty approach to Israel in the Hill, well, things are going to change dramatically in American foreign policy and certainly in the way that Israel conducts itself in the region. But the idea that someone like Chris Van Hollen is taking this approach now, not because of the events that have unfolded, but because he knows who I am and I've been able to convince him, is so idiotic. And the expectation, or I've heard this statement before, right? Like, I've heard people say shit like this before. It's usually like Ethan Klein fans, people that have no understanding of politics whatsoever, people who treat politics like drama that surrounds like certain villains and certain characters that they watch and consume the content of. I wouldn't expect the motherfucking a former spokesman of the state of Israel to say such a thing, right? Like, this is a legitimate war criminal, right? Like an adult. And he's calling this the Hasan Pikerization of the party. Israel's your bravest, most dependable ally. We're crossing off your most wanted list, fighting your wars. You're spiting yourself, he says. It's so strange that they think like I am responsible for this, or they would rather associate my name with this initiative. It's very, very strange. Okay. Why are we spending an hour on posts with 160 likes? Did you not hear what I just said? This is the fucking former spokesman for the state of Israel, dude. This is a person who was doing press releases for the apartheid state during the peak of the genocide. And his assessment of the situation is not that like Israel's actions have caused a serious fissure in the Democratic Party, which they previously had tremendous control over, and they've lost that control in a very meaningful manner. And by the next election cycle, hopefully, inshallah, Israel will completely lose control over the Democrats. They will no longer be able to dominate the Democratic Party as they did in the past. Because this kind of stuff was unthinkable, okay? And even then, it's too little too late. But it doesn't matter. It's still fairly significant. It's like moving the needle in the right direction. It takes a long time. It should be faster. It's an injustice that it's not fast enough, that our politicians are not responsive enough, that the fact that Chuck Schumer is still, voting against this provision to block the bombs, like, it's unbelievable to me. But it's a huge deal in comparison to where this like previous bills like this were regarded by the Democrats in the Senate. Okay, I'll get to that in a second, though, because Eitan Nehin, who actually is, fairly sympathetic to anti-Zionism, he did a wonderful piece on Adam Friedland recently. He said it would be more substantive to not It would be more substantive to not to of the Ben-Gvirization of the Israeli government since he's in power and Hasan Piker isn't. Just last week, Smotrich announced the goal of the war is to expand Israel's border. The Dems aren't going to subsidize the war for the settlers. Yeah, Eitan Nehin is a Haaretz reporter in New York, and he actually recently wrote a he recently wrote a piece about Adam Friedland. Yeah, but he's right. He says it's probably a lot smarter to point to Ben-Gvir's impact on the Israeli government, and even Benjamin Netanyahu's impact on the Israeli government, and what the Israeli government has done that has caused this kind of backlash from the Democrats, previously loyal allies of the state of Israel, than some random fucking Twitch streamer. And he's right. This is very much on BB. Yup. But for Hosmer, apparently it doesn't matter who's leading Israel and what policies they're enacting. It's in war or otherwise. Must be nice to live in a world where actions don't have consequences. Yeah. What you cooking on the top left? Chicken. Rotisserie chicken. So yeah, that part was really stupid. So this was one of the Fox News hits, but the hits keep coming. Here's the Ingram angle.
The commie and the billionaire. That's the focus of tonight's angle. What an evolution for the Democrat Party. Now, in the JFK era, it was pro-life and patriotic. In the Clinton era, it was anti-illegal immigration. And
yeah, except you guys opposed all of that even back then. So why are you bringing it up now? This is the same. I guess this, in some respects, is not dissimilar to like the Democrats going back to like the George W. Bush era and being like, well, at least they were a competent party. At least they weren't run by the orange man, you know, and Democrats are doing this. Republicans are now doing the same thing as well. Now, you had never heard this from the Republicans, though. Republicans normally don't do this. OK, why are they doing this? Because they're retreating, because even a fucking Twitch streamer can cause the Republican propaganda apparatus to retreat, to show that there are moderate Democrats out there, to no longer call Nancy Pelosi a fucking communist. When they see someone who's actually saying communist shit, they turn around and go, yeah, actually, maybe there are some moderate Democrats. They were glazing Elisa Slotkin the other day, okay? They were glazing Elisa Slotkin the other day, saying, like, of course she's not going to go on this mean man's podcast. Like, this cuts away at their bravado. It shows that they are also paper tigers. This is important to acknowledge, okay? Because I think, genuinely, this plays a formative role in combating the ratchet effect, okay? Because for the longest time, Republicans have been able to, move the Overton window, shift the Overton window to the right over and over again, because the National Democratic Party has always been conciliatory. They've always offered concession after concession after concession, whether because they are backed by the same corporate entities and that's what they were supposed to do, or whether it's because they genuinely thought that this was the only way to win elections, right? I'm not going to say if it's I'm not going to make an assessment on how sinister the National Party's attitude on this issue was, and what if there was an ulterior purpose there, an ulterior motive there or not. But I'm simply saying that the outcome of Democrats consistently conceding to the Republicans on right-wing framing on issues only made this country go to the right. But the moment that someone says, no, fuck that, Republicans are terrorists, what are we doing here? You know, uses maybe even similar language that Republicans use with regular frequency, and not just like Republican propagandists, but straight up Republican politicians, including the president. When Democrats do just a fraction of that, they will receive tremendous results in terms of pulling back the Overton window to a place of normalcy. Now, of course, my goal is not to just like recenter American politics. I don't want that. I want to shift it so far to the left that we never elect another Republican ever again. That the idea of fascism is impossible to contend with. People are like, what? What are you talking about? It's ridiculous. That's what I want to do. But the fact that even like a Twitch streamer is capable of making these guys retreat should be important. Should be important for even centrist Democrats to take note of, okay? Because this is the exact opposite of the method that they've applied and lost on over and over again. This is the exact same reason why they lost to Trump twice. Not once, but twice. Because they were far too forgiving of the insanity of the Republicans. They did not fight back against the Republicans. They did not actively try to sever the ties that Republican politicians have with Republican voters. Okay? And that's the reason why Republicans got away with saying whatever the fuck they wanted about the Democrats for years. And that conversation got only more toxic and more violent as time went on. And Democrats could do nothing but just sit there and cower. But the moment that you have someone that speaks a similar language to the Republican Party from the actual leftmost position possible, they immediately retreat and they immediately start glazing moderate Democrats. When have you ever heard them glaze moderate Democrats before?
Anti-deficit spending. So Democrats used to believe that America was basically a force for good in the world. But now, the left's new golden boy Twitch streamer doesn't even try to hide it. 34-year-old Hasan Piker not only hates America, he's hinting at a civil war.
Empires never die quietly, and we must end the American empire regardless. But we must manage the retreat of a superpower from the world stage. This is a challenge for our time. Actually, this is the challenge for our time. Because if we do not do this, then the American empire will come to an end in a much more violent way.
I love the applause he gets at Yale. Glad I went to Dartmouth. Of course, he presupposes that we are.
Does she think Dartmouth wouldn't be just as excited to receive me? That's so stupid of her. Yale is more conservative than Dartmouth. What are you talking about? I mean, these are elite Ivy League institutions. Most of the people there are not going to be receptive to that message in any way, shape, or form.
An empire, which we are not. Piker either doesn't know his history, maybe Rutgers didn't teach that, or purposely distorts it for effect.
America's not an empire is so funny. Like, who believes that? What are you talking about? At this point, there's not even a handful of people in positions of power or in the think tank orbit that still maintains the position that, like, liberal interventionism is a force for good. Okay. Also, elitist, shitting on a state school. You notice that? Again, this is how they operate.
But it's irrelevant anyway. It's slipshod, lazy thinking that is par for the course for this once great party. Who needs to read? Who needs to understand the arc of history, when you can just go for maximum Marxist shock value?
This is so insane. America deserved 9/11, dude. I'm saying it.
And he not only celebrates 9/11, but he mourns the fall of the USSR.
The fall of the USSR was one of the greatest catastrophes of the 20th century. Not only was there incalculable harm done to every single country under its banner, child prostitution, skyrocketing suicide rates, life expectancy plummeting, but America was no longer contested around the globe. And it is precisely because of the end to that multipolarity that we saw accelerated neoliberalism.
I love this. I love when they bang that's the new applause. Ooh, the Yaleys are actually impressed by the word multipolarity. Very revealing, as was this exchange.
When you say Hamas is 1,000 times better, do you actually mean that? Or is that a rhetorical move or like a solidarity signal?
I do mean it. I think it's a rhetorical move because it frustrates a lot. I love that they've, I guess, like, at this point, at a certain point, they have to, like, give up on the cheap shots and actually get to the meat of it. Okay. But this is just posting my W's. Like, I have no issue with this. Okay. At this point, Fox News viewers watch you as much as we do. Yeah. Yeah. Your grandparents are getting a very quick, short summary of at least some of my high notes, my highlights. This turns into a highlight reel. The moment that they don't the moment that they're not trying to do the cheap shots that are not resembling my worldview whatsoever, and actually showcasing some of the things that I believe, I'm happy with that. You know, this is a little bit more productive. People, I've also said I'm a harm reduction voter. I'm a lesser evil voter, and therefore I would vote for Hamas over Israel every single time, because I'm looking at the situation as a paramilitary organization that has, like, a political party as well.
Well, Piker's not a socialist. He's not a progressive. He's a communist. Hasan Piker is the ultimate privileged Nepo baby.
Wait. That's cool. They're also now, again, another rhetorical retreat. Not only is Laura Ingraham glazing moderate, centrist, neoliberal Democrats, she's also separating communism from progressives and socialism. Okay? Again, that is another rhetorical retreat. It almost feels like the politics that I am representing is forcing Republicans to take a more serious look at what the broad scope of the broad scope of ideological representation within the Democratic Party. Have you noticed that? Again, this is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. These are the same people who say Jeff Bezos is a communist, Nancy Pelosi is a communist. All of a sudden, when they hear someone say communist things, they turn around and go, actually, Bill Clinton was pretty good. I mean, he wanted to protect America. He wanted to glorify America. And that Hasan Piker is a communist, very different than socialist or progressive. Great.
He cut his teeth as an intern at the Young Turk show, which his uncle, Cenk Uygur, founded. What he learned there was how to get attention, and he's getting a lot of it. Nothing is off the table, including resurfaced comments about property owners who choose not to rent out their empty homes. He said, quote, kill them, kill those MFers and murder those MFers in the streets.
Yeah, then they go back to this and it's like, okay, ask me, do I believe this is this a sincere policy perspective? No, it's not. Okay, let's move on.
The streets soak in their bleeping red capitalist blood, dude. And he's gotten so much traction among younger voters that he's plotting.
I like that she added dude, but she wouldn't add fucking in a video game.
To take over the whole party.
I think we do have a real opportunity to make some significant changes and build a real left caucus in the party and hopefully maybe even bully some other Democrats into coming on board with positions that they previously would never have the moral courage to openly fight for. Also, to Laura Ingraham, I have to say,
Legalize comedy.
And another reminder that having a social media following doesn't mean having a brain. But it's not just the Gen Xers who are moving hard left. One of the Democrat Party's most prominent donors, billionaire Tom Steyer, is now the frontrunner for governor of California, and he's a total fanatic.
I'm very straightforward about this. ICE should be abolished. You really can't reform an organization which is absolutely wrong and criminal from top to bottom.
Yeah, he's even more open borders than Gavin Newsom, if that's possible.
Be sure to like and.
Yeah, and then the rest of it is wait. I don't understand why it says like they're hinting at civil war, but this one actually banged for them. Fox News clips. This one got a lot higher view count than their other clips that usually don't get this level of view count. So that's good. That's cool. And they're obviously very mad. Pays there for the Middle East. I think he'd be happy there. This guy's in big trouble. He needs arresting for blatant treason, calling for the fall of this great country. Piker's a sick individual. Do not give $1 to Yale. Yale should be closed for what they're doing to America. These people need to be addressed by courageous patriots. He should be arrested. It's like, what happened? What happened to fucking free speech? None of y'all believe in any of that shit, okay? It's crazy. It's unbelievable. Yeah, Nick Sorter did the whole, we must end the American empire. He got mad about it too. Obviously, I guess like this is, they're reposting banger after banger over and over again. Rick Scott goes, Hasan Piker hates America, glorifies terrorism, and his call for me and others to be murdered. He should not be given any type of platform, let alone a college campus that receives federal funding. Not realizing that, again, this is exactly what the Democrats failed at, okay? Democrats tried to do this. Liberals tried to fucking do this in 2016 and even leading up to 2016 and certainly after 2016, and it failed. It failed. Trump is president. I don't know why fuck it. Like, I don't want them to stop because it's beneficial. It's beneficial to this movement. It's beneficial for me personally to get my message in front of as many people as possible. This is creating unnecessary friction. And it's also demonstrably a failure. At this point, yeah, we are close to Trump talking about me. Literally everyone except Trump has talked about you. I'm honestly shocked he hasn't yet. In some ways, I don't want that to happen because I feel like I'm going to get assassinated after that happens. But yeah, sounds like you're soft launching a presidential run. I'm not even interested in fucking running for a local office, dude. That's the funniest part about all of this is that like, they're treating me like I'm running for president, but I'm not. Like I don't think America's ready for a person like me to be in a position of power. Okay, it's not going to happen. I also personally think that I have a lot more impact doing this, where I can highlight other candidates and help out other candidates and work to build a movement, rather than spend all of my time, all of my energy on trying to win one fucking race. And there's no guarantee that I win regardless, right? So it's very silly. Just know, if I'm even entertaining a run for any position whatsoever, that means that American politics have already moved in our direction so severely, that I'm running as a fucking moderate. You could just grift for millions of dollars every 4 years like Jill Stein. Why would I do that? Right? Because AOC and Bernie don't campaign with others. Buddy, I've seen a fraction of what it takes to do even one day of campaign rallies. Do you know how much time and effort is expended on running? Everything in your life is about winning that race. Okay? I wouldn't be able to cover the news. I wouldn't be able to promote other candidates. I wouldn't be able to do the necessary background research on other candidates. I wouldn't be able to adequately fundraise for other candidates. I'd have to be fundraising for myself. Like, you guys don't even understand. Like, it's just not, it's a complete time suck. It consumes every aspect of your life. There's also limitations on what I could and couldn't say regardless. It's just not, it's not possible. And on top of that, there is no guarantee. And on top of that, I don't even want to do it. Like, it's silly. People have always, throughout my career, told me what I should and shouldn't do, what I should do instead, right? Oh, you have all this money. Why don't you start a charity? You have all this money. Why don't you, why don't you build socialism? Why don't you build Medicare for all? And it's like, there are certain things that I'm good at and certain things that are within my power. And I'm trying to maximize my utility. That's what I'm trying to do. Inner heaven, thank you for the 50 bones. At the end of the day, that is what I'm doing. I'm maxing out on my utility. I'm very good at one thing and one thing only, and that is going live every day and yapping and talking about the news and trying to help out with movements both all around the world and also certainly in the United States of America, and move this country's politics in a more productive direction that is better for the working class. That's I don't hide that intention at all. I say it. Sometimes people disagree with my methods. There are plenty of people who disagree with my methods, actually. There's even people to my left that disagree with my methods. But this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And I'm radically transparent about it, too. So much so that people actually, people will take advantage of that radical transparency. Now, one of the positive news hits that has come out of this in the last couple of weeks of like endless smears that I in this community and the campaigns that I align with have withstood is the fact that there is a lot of increased attention, increased eyeballs on some candidates. One of them is Dr. Abdul El Sayed. Now, you already know, I went to Michigan before. I went to Dearborn. I worked out with them. We had kebabs a couple weeks ago. I went to Michigan, to MSU and University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. And I stumped for Dr. Abdul El Sayed. Now, I personally didn't think this was a new thing at all. I just didn't understand that, like, going on a campaign rally alongside a candidate would be perceived as something so totally different than having the candidate on my broadcast, right? It was only last week. Oh, it was? God damn, I've been traveling a lot. I thought it was like it feels like a lifetime ago. As Dr. Jihad, I stood alongside Dr. Abdul El Sayed. Dr. Jihad. And I was there with Summer Lee as well, Rashida Tlaib as well. And in the crowd at University of Michigan, Debbie Dingell was there too. It's a big deal. But one of the main problems for Dr. Abdul El Sayed wasn't his policies or wasn't his background. Those are, he is a fantastic candidate, right? He is exactly what we're looking for. Now, we don't fully align on everything, but that doesn't matter, right? He is far better than the average Democratic Party senator. And I would be elated to have as many Dr. Abdul El Sayeds in Congress as possible, right? That's the whole goal here, to move the Overton window to a more productive place, a place that actually is helpful for the American working class. So there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of pontificating on how dangerous it is that someone like Dr. Abdul El Sayed running for such an important seat like the Michigan Senate seat would align with someone so radical. But he didn't cave. He didn't cave. And he said, fuck it, we're doing it, right? He didn't back away, which in my opinion would have shown weakness regardless if he had. And it turns out, as I had suspected, it's actually been quite fucking beneficial. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a new Emerson poll in the Michigan race. Now, as I said over and over again in the lead up to this to this stump that I did. One of the biggest problems with Dr. Abdullah Sayed and his race was that he didn't have enough name recognition. The race wasn't getting a lot of media attention, and it seems like it now has gotten a lot of name recognition and media attention. And in that time frame, some people might even call it the Piker bump, but probably not. It's not, once again, it's not me. It's not even us. It's also the candidate, right? It wouldn't work if Abdullah Sayed didn't have the proper policies that communicate to the actual economic anxieties of the working class.